If you can just get those 5 dialed in, you're 95% of the way there. Then you can start to play with all these other things.
Hey John, I'm really happy to have you here.
I thought this podcast was with Denzel Washington. I've been tricked. My second favorite Denzel. Denny, great to see you, and thank you so much for having me on. I was really excited to hear about your new journey with the Unshakable podcast, and I love the name. I think it's such an impactful name, really, because as men especially, and I think when we met at the chamber, we were trying to build that up within ourselves, right? Doing all these things daily to
Exactly.
push our physical limits. So yeah, it's coming up on, I guess, almost a year and a little bit since we met at the chamber. That was a funny period of time for me because I had come to Bali for the second time. I was going to head back to Canada, and I just really felt inclined to stay. And I went to the Bali Time Chamber up in Moonduke in the mountains. Yep. And what was so interesting about that journey was we were kind of in a bit of a transition. I had come in. You were kind of one of the OG guys that had already been there for, I think, 4 or 5 days. You were learning the ropes from other guys who were just about to leave the chamber, and you kind of took on a bit of a leadership role, getting the guys out on the hikes, taking us to the waterfalls. And it was a really amazing, I was there 6 weeks. I think you were there, was it 4 weeks?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, yeah.
Let's start with this. What's something what really stayed with you from the month at the chamber?
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about that chamber was really just how time really dilated. Like, I felt that we had so much time in the day. I felt that, it was really like your own metaphorical buffet. If you wanted to just take it easy and chill, that was there for you. I think guys like me and you and a few of the others really wanted to immerse ourselves in, morning fitness. We would meet for our workouts, our waterfall hikes, a lot of breath work, obviously eating really well. And then it was really cool to see the guys kind of break off. I know you especially as well, and you had transitioned out of your business, but you were spending a lot of time, even a few hours throughout the day, like still being connected to your business. At that time, I think you were really starting to build it up, and you were percolating the idea of a potential sale. I don't think you were quite there yet, but you were starting to think about some strategies, and it really seemed like a great space for all of us to just take a step back and to really start to think expansively. How can we get out of our business and start working on our business? And so, yeah, man, it was an amazing 6 weeks, and we found balance too. We had a few nights where the boys went out and we had a couple drinks and we danced and we celebrated. As hard as we were working in the gym and the waterfalls, we were also, enjoying life and bonding and a lot of camaraderie, especially amongst men. It really was such an amazing experience for me. How was it for you?
Well, the experience overall was amazing, but the first days were horrible because maybe the jet lag, but also the stress I took with for my rhythm here. I found out when my rhythm was not right here. Too much stress, too much rushing. And to be in a jungle, it's something different. I learned during the process. I needed a couple of days to get good sleep, and also good food helped me with it. And after that, I learned to talk with people, and everyone was saying, it's all right, it's your process. Take your time. There's no rushing here.
Totally.
And then I found out what you're talking about, the step back, taking a step back. Yeah, I needed that. I needed that step back to learn from basic and start from basic, to build from basic again. And from there, I found out like the rhythm we had, early morning workout. Then we did a hike in the jungle, good food, good talking, fire pit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The sauna sessions, everything helped me during the day to get stronger and stronger. And then after a week, I found out, yeah, this is it. I could feel more strength, more powerful, more. Yeah, there is a potentially like me building to something really nice, and I needed that for my company because for my business partner left, and I need the confidence to do it by myself, and that was my whole goal for that period. And I found that the moment after a week or 1.5 week, I needed that. So It was a really good experience, and especially like the place itself it's a really nice place.
Yeah.
but you also need the people around you. You're still doing it by yourself, but you still need the people around you who can help you sometimes in tough times.
Totally. Yeah, and looking back at it too, because I ended up staying for, I actually just under 7 weeks, because one of the guys, Eric, had come and he left early, and I remember taking his room. And so I had the opportunity to experience probably 4 or 5 different core groups, because some people are there for a week. Some people are there for 4. And I felt kind of our group, you know, me, you, Big Yon, Chocolate Daddy.
Chocolate Daddy.
You know, it was just like, it was really so cool. And I really was inspired a lot by, you know, some of the older guys in their, you know, 50s, early 60s, just seeing them there reminded me a lot of like my own dad, just being like, this is amazing to see, especially men in that category. Like, you know, we had guys as young like Eli, like 19, 20, guys is 60, and everybody was just sharing and learning from life experience. And I really like what you said about getting back to the basics, and it really speaks a lot to even the name of your podcast. Like, you know, being in real estate for 15 years, like this idea of being unshakable. You think about a house or a building, you want to build up that fortress and that foundation. But we live in a world where people want the sexy kitchen and the beautiful bathroom and all these things. But their foundation is like the big bad wolf comes by, he blows, and they're just all over the place. So to really be unshakable, it's about getting back to those core things: good sleep, good food, good community, vulnerability, and, you know, lifting heavy shit, walking on an incline. Like, we were doing that daily, and you're so right. By day 7, 8, it was like this remembrance for a lot of us, like, we're capable, we're strong. And especially for men, we're so used to being providers and having to do, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So when you step away and you can really start to work on the body, the mind, and then the spirit, it's a total energy shift.
Totally. That's what happens the most when you find out there's success coming. And there's also like another side that brings you all back all the time, and you have to deal with it. Do you do when your mindset slips, when you feel stuck or stressed or overwhelmed? Like, what are you doing practically? What brings you back to basic?
Yeah, it's so interesting because, you know, for me, the last, you know, I'm going to be 38 soon. I started my career in 2010. I remember, you know, 22 years old, out of university, and just my purpose was to make money. My purpose was to build my business. I was in real estate sales, and I became very intertwined with that identity. And so I was very driven by my why. And what's so interesting, at least for me as a man and for many men, is when you have purpose, sometimes you're not actually stopping to pay attention to how you feel. To backtrack just a bit and then to get into the techniques, 4.5, 5 years ago, I remember waking up one night in just a complete sweat. Like my bed was soaked. I remember my girlfriend at the time was like, my pulse was racing. I was probably having a panic attack, and I had no tools, no clue at all. And it wasn't going to be more money and more stuff. It was something so far deeper. And so for me, what I came to realize is there was 2 schools of thought. You know, there's this Alex Hormozy school of thought, which is like, get up in the morning, fuck your routine, and just get to work. You know, don't worry about how you feel, be this resilient person. And then there's this second aspect, which is how can you start to create practices in your life to actually, you know, be in an emotional state that's sustainable. So for me, I really look at my cores are as follows. Number 1 is sleep. You know, it all starts with sleep for me. If I'm not consistently getting 8 hours, everything else isn't really calibrating well. On top of that, what I really try to focus on is my hydration, the foods that I'm eating, and then moving my body. I think movement to me is medicine. Like, it really is. The mind can be so wild, but when you go out for a walk, you go for a workout, you do something, and for me, it's like just getting a little bit of sweat on the body. All of a sudden, I start feeling different. I get out of my head, I get into my body, and now I'm recalibrating. So for me, I try not to complicate it. I think there's so many amazing modalities out there, and you can make it as complex as you want. But one of my favorite sayings is that complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complex you make things, the less likely you are to show up every day and be consistent. So for me, and again, like, you know, being unshakable means getting back to those foundations: sleep, hydration, movement, immunity, good quality foods. If you can just get those 5 dialed in, you're 95% of the way there. Then you can start to play with all these other things. So yeah,
that's exactly how it goes. One thing what we're missing, I think, is to be open for talking. Like when there's something going bad, try to talk.
totally.
Lots of people are forgetting that, or are not confident enough to talk or ask questions to others, because it's all in the head, and then it explodes sometimes. Then it's too late, because there are periods of time and it's going bad, or like big failure or failure, you know, it's a lesson. You need to talk to people. You need to be open for conversation, and that's why I started this podcast, Unshakable Today, to open the conversation. For me, it's really important, and I learned that from the Bali Time Chamber, to have the conversation. You know, when the fire pit talks came, that was really important moment for me, when all these guys are like, these guys are really good entrepreneurs, you know, but when the conversation came, was completely different persons, or maybe the real persons behind it. So that's really important to have the conversation, to be open for it.
Totally.
And maybe you took the lead in that, and that's really nice of you. Maybe you can explain me more about that part.
Yeah, and I agree with you totally. I think sometimes it's easier to be vulnerable with a group of strangers, where like I think one thing, when I really think back to Bali Time Chamber, that really stands out for me is, like, for the first time in my life, I felt amongst a group of men, like there was just no judgment. Like, you know, we had guys around the fire who had talked about battling addiction, battling thoughts of suicide, battling thoughts of divorce and bankruptcy. And it was just like, we would listen, we would hold space. I think our sauna sessions, you know, for those who don't understand, like we would do about 25 minutes in the sauna, ripping hot to really intense music. And we would be crawling out of that thing. Like we'd be dead. And again, emotions are just energy in motion. So as we were like really releasing, I think a lot of us were releasing a lot of energy. My journey of healing, which really started 4 years ago, started with a lot of psychedelic plant medicine ceremonies, where I really had to feel into shit. And I realized, like, oh my God, like I have a lot of stuff that I've just repressed down. And so my mechanism has always been to talk about it, because that's safe for me, because I've always been good at articulating, and people have said, Jonny, you can speak well, you can listen well. But I felt for us, like a lot, like we would do our fire chats usually after a sauna session or a cold plunge. Everybody was feeling very light. We'd release the energy. So I'm just a big believer in the idea of somatics, of moving the body. I used to have this painting in my house growing up that was a group of owls, like those birds. And 2 of the owls were hanging upside down, because owls will do that sometimes. And one was standing upright, and it would say, "Pobody's nerfect," which actually means nobody's perfect. And my message here was that in the world of media and social media, everybody wants everything to be so curated and so perfect. And it's kind of nice. Hey, you just cut out for a second. Life continues. We just keep going with the flow, and we just make it work. So I think I lost you when we were just kind of talking about, you know, my journey. And I think the big message there, Denzel, just to close that off, is that I think a lot of men just want to be heard without judgment. You know, if a man can speak his truth and know that he's not going to be judged, like, you can say whatever you want around that fire. You know, it's just like, hey, we're talking, we're getting it out there. And the fire is very powerful for men. It's very ceremonial. Ancestrally speaking, like as men 10,000 years ago, it would have been the women and children probably sleeping, and the men would have been sitting around the fire, maybe having conversation. So fire is very much a metaphor for burning the past, letting go of what's no longer serving us. So it's very therapeutic as well. And I think those fire chats were unbelievable. We probably had a good 3 of them while we were there.
Yeah. And it's nice thing is that everyone joined.
Totally.
Everyone wants to join.
That is true. Them again. Just kidding. It's crazy to think too, like in the past, especially to the female audience. There we are.
It's frustrating.
It is though. And it's like going into that, right? Because like when life doesn't go the way we want it to, and it's okay to be frustrated. Like when people are like, it's okay. No, it's frustrating. That's fine. We're frustrated.
True.
We move with that energy, and what else can we do?
Yeah.
What else
Yeah.
can we do?
You're talking about
It is what it is.
the moment you took. Did you use?
Yeah, so I've sat with a bunch of different medicines. I'd say the most impactful for me has been ceremonial ayahuasca. So
Yeah.
ayahuasca being a plant medicine from the Amazon, and sitting with shamans who have guided me through that process has been so impactful. Like, and that's been my path. I'm never here to recommend that to anybody. There's so many ways to go through shadow work. But I think for me, being someone who was very much in my head, it forced me to really have these experiences where I could feel into things. And so it's been a modality. I haven't sat in a long time. Over the last 4 years, it's probably been 12 to 15 different ceremonies with different medicines, but definitely very impactful for my journey.
The reason I was asking that, I have the same experience, but one time last year I took mushrooms for that, and in that ceremony I could feel I was missing two parts. There was love and warmth. Like I couldn't breathe properly. So after that, like to reach the right frequency, I was missing those two parts. So after that, I quit smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I was looking for something new in sports. So that's why I found CrossFit, where there's a nice community, which is really connected there. Because I was not happy with my sports at all.
Yeah.
Sports alone, but I don't like it to do it alone. Sometimes you have to, but I don't like it. That's why I was looking for a new place to do sports or try new things. And now I'm really happy with it. Really happy. It's like I'm growing in physically, mentally, really fast right now, and that's all I needed. Like this is the next step. It's amazing.
Totally.
I'm really happy that
I think, that famous saying, like, show me your friends, I'll show you your fortune. This idea that you become the people you hang out with. And one of my mottos for this year, like turning 38, has been, I want to be around people that are fitter than I am, stronger than I am, faster, quicker, that have better relationships, that are making way more money. Because success, and Tony Robbins says this, it's one of my other favorite sayings, success leaves clues. Like when you're around successful people, they're often willing to, whether it's mentor you or show you the way, and their actions can speak so loudly. Even a lot of those workouts, I remember a few days when Hayden was there. Good, young, strong prairie boy from Canada. And he'd be up at 6 a.m. and he was putting, 100 kilos on his back for 15 reps, squatting ass to the ground. And it was like, holy shit, like, okay, I can maybe do 2 of those, but I'm just going to do what I can. But if he wasn't there doing it, I probably would have just stayed in bed. Okay, I'll sleep in until 7:30, whatever. But when a few other guys are down there getting it in early, it's like, all right, let's get down to the gym. Let's get our cold plunge in. Now everybody's coming down at 8:39. We've already worked out. We've done our cold plunge. We've had breakfast. And maybe we'll jump into some breath work. We do the Wim Hof for 3 rounds. Okay, waterfall time. Some guys go, some guys stay. No pressure. Do as you want. So yeah, the whole community fitness, I think, and that's why I think High Rock's taking off so much as well, because it's a little bit lower impact. There's an amazing community behind it. It encourages you to push yourself and to find new limits. I mean, that's what life is all about, right? Progress is highly correlated to happiness. So doing it physically,
yeah, and also the thing is that you learn new skills to improve movement, and also it's a big mirror, Sometimes you go over the limit and you get an injury. You have to deal with that. So that's a really big mirror.
Totally.
And it helps you, guiding you through the process. And that's what most interesting thing for me. I'm learning so much by doing sports, by doing new sports, but also finding know my limits, know my body, and pushing to do more. That's amazing. I mean, and also with a good group of people, what you're saying is that with the same mindset, but also someone is really good in squatting. Maybe someone is really good in endurance. I'm not, but I can learn. I can ask questions. Maybe we can do it together.
Yeah.
It's tough for me, maybe not tough for them. I don't mind. We share the priority for sport, the passion for sport. That's amazing. We can talk about that.
Totally.
So that's why it's also a social thing. I felt really alone in my own company and also in my sports gym. Now I'm not. I stopped my company. I sold it because I was not happy with it. Now I'm doing things what I really like, and also I'm doing sports with people that brings me also in a social state, and that helps me learning more and more and more. So that's really nice. What means sports for you? Because I see you doing lots of paddle and fitness.
Yeah. Yep.
Tell me more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I just wanted to acknowledge the things that you said because, yeah, for me, I'm often feeling at my best, you know, when I'm in sport. I found paddle about a year ago, and I had a pretty major injury about 4 years ago. I had ruptured my Achilles tendon twice, the same one. And so at that time, I was still playing competitive basketball at, 32, 33. And then I stopped playing competitive sports and I came out here. I found padel or paddle, whatever people call it. And that brought back community. It brought back competition, so you can see yourself progressing and getting better. And then continuing to train, right? My big mantra for training is muscle and mobility, understanding that the human skeletal chain, we need to take our bodies into places where we traditionally aren't going. And so making sure that we can handle load and impact, and then to transition that into a sport like paddle, it now changes the way that I train, doing more plyometrics, doing more box jumping, different types of explosive work, but still the compound movements, right? Especially for men. I think that every man, honestly, should be doing some sort of weightlifting in their life. I think moving weights through resistance is extremely important. It's one of the number one longevity markers for men, especially as we age. We start to lose muscle mass yearly. So, yeah, man, it's been great. It's been a great journey to continue to progress in paddle and to continue to, be in the gym strength training, 3-4 times a week and just trying to stay consistent with that. So it's been really nice.
And about the consistency, is there a normal, or do you have like Monday we do strength, also running, or Tuesday we do swimming? I don't know. What is your week looks like?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I've recently started some new projects, and it's funny, the last week I've been scrambling a bit. Like I've still been getting my workouts in, but I've been rearranging my schedule a little bit. I train with a trainer one-on-one twice a week. So I've got my trainer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I'm usually mixing in 1 to 2 additional strength sessions, either doing a group class at my gym here in Bali or just doing my own thing. And then trying to do my mobility 2 to 3 times a week as well, right? 1-hour mobility classes that are offered at my gym, which has been huge. And then I've got my paddle 2 to 3 times a week. So for me right now, I would say at least 6 days a week, like I'm doing something to exert my body, but also listening to how my body feels and understanding as well, like as I've aged, I want to be, more generous with rest and recovery and, massage and supplementation to make sure that I'm recovering so I can come back stronger and also reduce my risk of injury.
You said it right, I think. What I found out in Indonesia or in Bali, it's really normal to have like a balanced day rhythm. Like you have to do you have your own time, but you have also to do some work, but also sports. But it's the right balance, And here I found out it's more rushing or more work rhythm. And after that, what's left, that's your time. I changed that rhythm.
Totally.
So I set priority for sports. I start doing sports, and maybe once, twice a day, I listen to my body now, and between that or after that, I do my work. So I changed it completely. And when I set priority for sports, my nutrition is also good, really important, also for my sleep, etc. So that's why sports brings a lot of good things next to that. And work, I can also do my work when I feel good, and that's why I need sports.
Totally. And I'm very much for full disclosure right now, I'm on the podcast with you. People don't know this. I'm sitting here in my underwear. I'm rolling out my foot with a lacrosse, this whole 30 minutes, Denzel, because I've had Achilles pain. I'm like, you know what? I need 30 minutes today to just roll out my feet. This entire time as I'm talking to you, I've been rolling out my plantar fascial in my feet. And quick recommendation to all athletes out there, just like a tree, your feet are the root system of your entire body. And if you want to lift more, if you want to be more grounded in life, if you want to reduce pain, if you look at Chinese medicine, all of the trigger points start in the feet. And in the Western world, we're taught from a young age, you jam your fucking feet into a shoe where, everything's tight. And if you look at a child's feet, you'll notice that they're splayed out like this. And if this is the foot, all of this tissue, when it gets tight, if this is the calf, it creates tightness all up the chain. The calf gets tight, the hips get tight. The hips get tight, the back gets sore. The back gets sore, we hunch over. So a recommendation, a tidbit, or a takeaway, and I'm going to encourage your audience and listeners, 3 minutes per foot per day. Get a golf ball, get a lacrosse ball, get something, and just roll out the bottom of your feet. You will notice huge, impactful changes within 1 week. Like, I guarantee it. And it doesn't take much. Do it while you're watching Netflix. Like, a big thing I'm a fan of right now is habit stacking. If I'm going to do something that I can do and my mind can still be here with you, Denzel, like, I couldn't be doing push-ups right now, but I can be rolling out my feet. If I didn't tell you that, you'd never have a clue. Neither would your audience. So it's a great little mechanism for people to start looking at is rolling out their feet.
It's funny that you're saying this, because I had for a long time an injury in my knee and my lower left back, but also after that my left shoulder. And when I started doing more flexibility in my ankle, then it all went away. Like, my running went better, but also I bought better shoes, running shoes, and all my injuries are gone. So that you're totally right. It's so important.
Denzel's like Harry Houdini. Where's Waldo? Where's Denzel? I think it's his internet connection, folks. Mine is running beautifully.